The occupation of Hungary, how the Janissaries horribly exploited Hungarian women under Sultan Mehmed III. In the 17th century, Hungary was under the yoke of Ottoman occupation, where Hungarian women faced harsh and difficult conditions. During this period, the Janissaries, the elite soldiers of the Ottoman army, exploited women in a horrific manner for sexual purposes. Under Sultan Mehmed III, who ascended the throne in 1595, women were used as tools of pleasure, leading to widespread fear and suffering. In this article, we explore how women were exploited in Hungary, focusing on the sexual dimensions of this exploitation and its impact on Hungarian society. In the early 17th century, Hungary was suffering from internal conflicts and political crises. In 1606, the Treaty of Żywiec was signed, ending the war between the Ottoman Empire and Hungary, but peace was not always lasting. As Ottoman influence grew, the Janissaries exploited the political vacuum to increase their power, making women an easy target for exploitation. Women in Hungary faced multiple challenges, losing their husbands and family members, rendering them vulnerable to sexual exploitation. The Janissaries horrifically exploited Hungarian women, using them as tools of pleasure. Numerous cases of sexual assaults were reported, where women were kidnapped from their homes or forced to work as servants. At times, women were coerced into providing services to soldiers in exchange for protection or food. This exploitation created an environment of fear and humiliation, as women were compelled to adapt to harsh conditions. There are numerous stories of women who suffered sexual exploitation during this period. One such story is that of Elizabeth, a Hungarian woman in her 30s who was kidnapped from her village in 1608. Elizabeth lived in constant fear, being forced to provide services to soldiers. She hoped to escape but found herself trapped in a web of complex relationships. Her story reflects the suffering of many women and how exploitation was not just an individual experience but part of a larger oppressive system. The sexual exploitation of women affected not only their lives but also Hungarian society as a whole. Many families lost their members due to the war, leading to the disintegration of familial bonds. Moreover, sexual exploitation intensified feelings of fear and anxiety among women, making it difficult for Hungarian society to rebuild itself. The cultural identity of Hungarians was impacted, as women became victims in a larger struggle for survival. Despite the harsh conditions, some women attempted to resist this exploitation. They formed secret groups to help one another, sharing their experiences and seeking ways to protect themselves. There are stories of women organizing protests against the Janissaries, showcasing the strength of the human spirit in the face of injustice. However, these movements were often discovered and violently suppressed, increasing the suffering of women. Religion played an important role in the lives of women during this period. Hungarian women turned to religion as a means of finding hope and solace. Secret prayer and worship meetings were organized, as religion was considered a refuge from the realities of occupation. These gatherings fostered a spirit of solidarity among women, as they shared their stories and exchanged support. However, there were also pressures from the Janissaries to change religious practices, increasing tensions. The occupation affected the local economy, placing an additional burden on women. Many women lost their sources of income, forcing them to work under harsh conditions. They were exploited in hard labor, whether in homes or in the fields. Women had to seek ways to survive, leading to new forms of work, including domestic service or craftsmanship. There are many individual stories that reflect the experiences of women during this period. Some managed to escape the constraints of occupation, while others suffered a loss of identity. These stories narrate the suffering of women but also their courage in facing challenges. Some women taught their daughters how to stay strong, contributing to the preservation of heritage and culture. The Ottoman occupation left a deep impact on Hungarian society, especially on women. Despite the end of the occupation, the experiences they endured left lasting scars. Their stories continue to be told today, reflecting the strength of the human spirit and its capacity to confront challenges. The legacy left by the occupation remains part of Hungary's history, showcasing how historical events can influence future generations. The experiences of women in Hungary under Ottoman occupation highlight the importance of awareness regarding human rights and the necessity of protecting women from exploitation. These stories should serve as a motivation for us to work towards enhancing women's rights worldwide. By learning from the past, we can strive for a better future where women's rights are respected and upheld.